Hi everyone, my name is Adenike Oyetunde. So I'm talking about this book. Okay, apart from the excitement, this book made me cry. Brethren, I cried, and I'll tell you why. So the title of the book is Beneath the Tamarind Tree by Ishay Sesay. And if you're a newshead, this name sounds familiar. So yeah, that Ishay Sesay. It's a story of courage, family, and the lost schoolgirls of Boko Haram. And I really wasn't sure what to expect from this book. I just thought it was someone telling us what happened with the Chibok girls. Because I'm in media, I understand what it is to report the reportage of this story. And I feel like it did more than just a homage to the girls and their family members. This is a book that would stand the test of time. I'm sure that certain people who will find it controversial because of the content in it. But there are many lessons I learned from this book, many. And I'll start with the authors. This book taught me the power of selflessness. What do I mean? So she shares a story about her personal struggle in her family where her mom is having health challenges. But she has started to report on the Chibok girls and then got information that some of them had been released and were going to be reunited with their family members in Chibok. And she flew her mom to Lagos, incidentally, for better health care. And somewhere along the line, she left her mom a few hours after surgery just so she could continue with this book. I read that part and I actually closed this book and I paused, like, oh my God. And the only thing that stood out for me about Ishay is the fact that she wanted to see this story to the far end she could get. And that is nothing short of dedication in the face of a personal struggle. She said though her mom couldn't speak, she knew that if her mom could speak, her mom would have encouraged her, because her mom would have said, this is what you've always done, this is who you are, go for it. That story of dedication is what fuels the story of the Chibok girls, even today as we speak and we talk about them. Talking about the entire team, the Bring Back Our Girls team. Every Saturday in Lagos, in Falomo, they still meet. These people still meet with the hope that one day all kidnapped girls, whether from Chibok community or from anywhere else, will be released to their family members. The second lesson for me in this book, again, is a story of education. Now, if you read this book and you open the map of Nigeria and you locate Chibok, it's one tiny place. And to see that, to read, to understand, to watch that these people did not have the fortune to get as much education as we have, say in the Southwest where I was born and have grown up. But they still went for it, has just humbled me. A people who did not have money, like they had to sell cattle to get tea fare, transportation fare, to go to Abuja, to do a protest. These family members, but somehow put their daughters in school because they knew that education will transform their lives and the lives of these girls. Again, is a testament as to the power of what educating a girl child can do. The second story for me in this book is the power of education and the power of educating a girl child. The third story to me in this book is the power of love, fellowship, and God. Now, imagine 14, 15, 16, 13-year-olds picked up in the middle of the night from their school by men wearing military outfits. They thought they were, military guys. And these girls created a community in the face of their kidnappings, such that at a point where the kidnappers asked them to denounce their faith, a large number of them said, "Never will I do it." And these girls were subjected to a lot. They were left outside, they were not provided with food, they were not provided with shelter, because they decided to stay dogged with their belief and faith in God. Then, of fellowship. They would always look out for each other. They formed little tiny pockets, but they were always together. Something will happen to one of them, it will happen to all of them. Reading the narration that Ishay did is nothing short of beautiful, because what she did was she narrated the story from when they were kidnapped up until now, where some of them are still being held back. So for anyone who ran away, she will share their story up until they ran away and pick it up from that place again to somebody who couldn't run away when the earlier girls left. So there was a continuation. So she gave us an in-depth, experience into the entire stretch of the journey. And for every time they were narrating, you will see people who showed fellowship. They were together. They loved each other. They protected each other. They fought for each other. My goodness. This was also shown in their family members that they left back. There's a part of the book where she talked about, when the first girls were brought back. And there was a woman there. So after they picked the girls up, some of them actually escaped from the trucks. Like they were falling from the trucks. So the next morning when family members went back to the school to look for their daughters and wailing and shouting, some of them saw some girls coming back. And there was a mother there waiting consistently. Like the power of belief in God. There was a letter in this book that wrecked me. A mother wrote it to her daughter that still had not returned even at the end of the compilation of this book, but still believed vehemently and fervently in the power of prayer and God that her daughter will return. Wow, what a powerful book. This book also touched on denial, it touched on betrayal, and it touched on forgiveness. That a lot of people doubted for years that no girls were picked up. It still leaves me numb. Why? Because from the very first day I heard about it, I knew it was true. Don't ask me how. I just knew, connected in my spirit, I just knew it was true that girls had been picked up. And this is because a few months, something about a year or so before that, thereabout, some boys had also been killed in their school in Buniyadi. I remember that story. So it felt to me like this was not a strange story. It felt like this was a familiar terrain. And so why were people doubting it? Why did everything have to go back to politics? And for that, I had to read how family members were told repeatedly by government officials that no children were taken. And one of the mothers in this book said, "So where is my daughter? If you say that no children were picked up, where is she? We took her here, we dropped her here, but she's not here. The school has been razed by fire." And then reading Ishay Sesay ask government officials repeatedly, giving her and us, flimsy reasons, excuses, caused me anger. Because Nigerian media houses had tried to do their job. And it's always easy for us to say, "Oh, nobody did the job," until international people showed up. But they did show up, and then we got the answers that the government officials thought was necessary to give to us. So there was such a big vacuum. That denial and the lack of trust and the betrayal, where this is what you said you will do. You said you will provide our children with education. We send them to the schools, but you fail to protect them. And for that, the story continues to resonate with me. Why? Because I started to ask myself what ideas, what I stood for as a person that people believed, and I just left them out in the cold. That's my story. That's the fourth lesson I learned from this book. Betrayal, denial, anger. And I mentioned forgiveness. I've never seen a forgiving group of people or read about a forgiving group of people like these girls. There was one of them that kept saying, we forgive the government, we forgive. And I'm wondering, be angry now, small anger, just show small anger. Like, speak up and say, you failed us, you should have done this, you should have done that. Forgiveness, the power of God and redemption and forgiveness. My goodness, in this book, Ishay narrated stories for these girls where they said categorically, showed and lived out forgiveness. And finally for me, it's a story of hope. I have no idea where their hope came from. I still don't know. I have no idea where the family members of the yet to be released or reunited girls have gotten their hope from. But as with Ishay Sesay, family members have continued to believe that one day soon their daughters will return to them safe. I've asked myself many questions, because I ask myself questions about their menstrual health. Who cares for them? Whilst they're in the confines of those kidnappers. Are they abused? Reading that there were marriages broke my heart. But it gave me hope, because for the ones who had been released and reunited with their family members, they knew that one day they would still see their other classmates or schoolmates. And I'm asking myself, where lies this hope? How? Where does this kind of hope come from? Even for Ishay Sesay to believe strongly that her reporting this story and documenting her experience would one day lead to complete connection with every single family, even where some of them have lost all their dependents that they left back home, is nothing short of hope. The hope that one day Nigeria will be safe and secure in its entire length and breadth, so that people can go to school. Fathers and mothers can send their daughters and sons to school and not fear insecurity or fear radicalization. It's such a hope, and very honestly, that seems far-reaching. But I feel it is tangible. It's something that I can taste. It's something that I'm not sure when, but I'm also hopeful that one day soon it would happen. I feel like there's a need for us to do a proper documentary about this story and disassociate ourselves from politics and the several divides that have come as a result of this narration. This story is a story of hope, of trust. This is a story of dedication, of hard work. I'm so proud of Ishay Sesay and her team, but I'm more excited about documenting this and owning this. So yes, these are the lessons I picked personally from reading Beneath the Tamarind Tree by Ishay Sesay.